Oh, the cocktail scene. You can't forget that because there were so many different things going on.
I think it was a party that everybody wished they could have gone to, would have been invited to, or could have had themselves.
It became one of the famous parties of all time.
I'd love to have attended this party. I just wouldn't want to have dealt with the cleanup.
Having this get-together is great because it brings back the good old times we did have. No, it's great, and I'm happy to see a lot of them. Joan I hadn't seen since then.
That's true. Who's the star of this thing?
That's true. You.
The exciting thing about this cocktail party tonight is the fact that it's taken away the years. We're discussing things that happened 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago, and we're back where we were.
The cocktail party itself, I couldn't be objective about. I know that when it came out, everybody was talking about the cocktail party.
Some party.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, being so joyful, being so light, being so free, which is, it's the heart of Holly Golightly.
Holly's party was really interesting in terms of classic cocktail parties. First of all, there was the dress. I mean, people really dressed for this party, and I love the fact that she invites George Peppard for cocktails. You know, she doesn't invite him to a cocktail party. She sends him a note saying, please, join me for cocktails at 6. He shows up, he's wearing a jacket and tie. He's just, and he gets there, and of course it's a party, and everybody's dressed to the nines. And, the sense of style, the sense of having enough liquor, because obviously the liquor is completely lubricating the social interaction.
No! Some lady got her hair or hat burned, and then somebody was in the bathroom in the tub with Marty Balsam. And what else?
It was, full of drunken, happy drunken people smoking too much, which in today's politically correct New York City you really can't do.
Hey, what do you call yourself?
Everybody can see a little bit of themselves in it, in one or more of the characters.
But it was really the wildest night New York ever knew.
As anything with casting, it's not just one person who does it. I mean, you're involved with the producer, you're involved with the director, you're involved with everything, because they have some ideas. It's a case of knowledge, a case of suggestions from agents that you weed out and find out what chemistry will work.
Blake gave me a little bit to do with a fellow named Michael Quinn. Tall, good-looking fellow, but he put an eye patch on him. And he said, just go in and have this furious argument. And he didn't tell us what to say, so the two of us go in, and I can't remember what I was talking about. I kept saying, well, you were supposed to pick me up, and you were late, and so I had Gil bring me to the party, and I don't know what he said, because we both were just babbling, And in the middle of all of this argument, he told the fella, Quinn, to lift up the eye patch and just keep arguing. Like, he didn't really have to wear one, it was some kind of a decoration for him.
The character I played was the dancing girl. I was in a white dress, and I was just one of those that were dancing. And George Peppard pinched me in my derriere, so that was my one line. Ah! I screamed and was a little tipsy and turned around and gave George a dirty look.
I played the boy who delivered the liquor at the party.
Reinforcements.
Blake Edwards said, originally we had the scene written so that, Martin Balsam goes in the bathtub in the end and he makes out with some girl. I was supposed to be the guy. That's how it was written. In the end, I was sucking my thumb. And I decided I'm going to regress and go like I want my mama.
I was the lady in a nice brown Diane von Furstenberg dress sitting in a bathtub. The sofa was a cutout bathtub, and that was me, and then we did a lot of dancing also. I played a crazy lady having a great time at a party.
Actually, there were two scenes in which I was involved. One of them was in a bedroom where we were fully dressed, and there were a couple of us with our cocktails and our cigarettes laying on the bed. I had one leg dangling over the edge, and one person underneath who found it the right time to tickle my foot. Unfortunately, Blake came and said, "Joan, I have established you in the other room. I can't use that scene." It was quite interesting when the review of the film came out as it was being released. In the motion picture review section was a picture of the scene that had been deleted, and there was a one-word caption, "Salacious."
So I went on this audition, and then Blake said to me, "I know what I want you to do. I want you to be in the bathtub with Martin." And I thought, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm a mother." And so he chose another lady. I thought, you know what I mean, when he was in the bathtub. So I thought, then I was so embarrassed. I kept looking around thinking, "Oh my God, there's the camera. I don't want to do anything." So I kept hiding from the camera all the time. Well, if you're going all through, it's a very quick shot, but it's about halfway through the party scene. I kept thinking, are they ever going to show that? And it just pans by and stops and goes. So he gave me a beautiful shot.
Remember, I had what they called a beehive hairdo at the time, and so did Audrey, but mine wasn't as big as hers. I don't think I could have carried that one. She could wear anything and look great.
Audrey Hepburn, I just remember as being regal and untouchable.
Audrey Hepburn did, she was not aloof, but she didn't hang out with us,
And she was just a class act. And we kid with George Papard and Martin Balsam was no problem. But with her, it was very difficult. But I got her to laugh at something I did, and I felt I have arrived.
Audrey Hepburn you always knew she was going to be the major star. She was so sweet. And I was lucky enough to be around when she shot Moon River. And she was just so sweet and simple, and she would talk to anybody and everybody and about anything. You could go up to her and feel very comfortable. She was like one of the gang.
As an actor, I was impressed with her ability to be so honest and to create that kind of atmosphere on a set.
George Papard was so regular. He was like, your uncle, a friend, something. He just came down to earth and kidded with you.
I think I was one of those that thought he was absolutely adorable and very handsome, but he is charming.
I worked 8 days on it. So obviously I think 8 days was the party scene.
Blake Edwards had the best sense of humor of anybody I ever worked with. And as a director, he could dream up right on the spot crazy things for people to do.
It seems like basically he said, everybody just have a lot of fun. He would say, like, I want you in the bathtub, or George, pinch her when you go by, or something like that. And a lot of that was, some of it was choreographed, and of course some of it was actual scenes, in the movie. But as far as the party and the atmosphere, Blake Edwards just let his inspiration, instantaneous improvs being thrown in the scene. And they had a lot of film to choose from. I think he and the editor must have had a good time putting it together,
I mean, he was so energetic and so vital and everything. You just had to have a good time at that party. You just had to, because he was right there. He was right there with us.
Blake Edwards would take a 20-minute nap after for lunch. He'd go in and have a 20-minute nap. He knew exactly when it was 20 minutes. He didn't have to set the alarm. And it just how can you take a 20-minute nap at this time? And he'd say, could you leave? I need my nap.
So often when you have a group of actors, something like that, somebody inevitably bumps into somebody because it doesn't flow. This flowed. It flowed as though every step were choreographed, but you didn't realize you were being choreographed. You knew where you were, you had a place to go, a way to go, and that was the beauty of Miriam.
Miriam Nelson, who was a wonderful choreographer and a friend of Blake's. And Blake also suggested that she help maybe choreograph the movements of the party sequence.
I have known Blake for a long time, and I'm a choreographer. So one day he called and he said, I'm doing this party sequence, and why don't you come on over? I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and we'll just play. So I remember just spending the day, and he was coming up with all these crazy ideas. He came up with the idea of the telephone in the suitcase, and he just kept growing, and we were just giggling and having a wonderful time.
I'd go on the set every day, and they'd come up with different ideas. I forget who came up with the idea of the cigarette burning over Helen Spring's head. But there were all these little bits. I think probably Blake must have devised some of these things and trying to give everybody a piece, some kind of action to deal with.
Dime, darling. What? Dime. Oh, yeah. Do you have a watch?
No, I don't.
Oh, let me see it. It's 6:45. Thank you so much.
I knew Faye McKenzie, the gal who played Looking in the Mirror, but the way he got her to laugh was so clever. She started out crying. And then remember when the hat gets caught on fire and all that. Just after that, he puts Stanley next to the camera, right here. And she looks in the mirror and sees Stanley with the hat on. They had another hat from the one that burned. And the camera couldn't see because the mirror is there. She's looking in them, and she breaks out laughing. And I thought, how clever of him. Because, we all knew the joke, but she was busy crying, and all of a sudden she's laughing. And I thought, he was just a clever man. Amazing.
At the party, I had on gold lame high heels. And after a while, my feet were killing me. So I'd take them off in between every take and be carrying them. He said, why are you carrying your shoes? I said, because my feet hurt. And he said, well, then don't put them on, just carry them. This is the kind of a party it would be where you could do that. So that's what I did. So today, I wore flats.
Everybody really, really looked like they were having a good time. And that wasn't really acting. We were having a good time.
The cocktail party has an interesting history. It's not an ancient institution. It has its roots, I think, back in the 1920s during Prohibition, when drinking was really driven underground into the speakeasies and also into people's homes. And, people were brewing bathtub gin. It developed into kind of a social institution by the 1950s. In the 1950s, I think what made cocktail parties so big, everybody lived in these small spaces, just as Holly Golightly, lived in the wonderful little walk-up. The way people entertained in New York was, it wasn't necessarily so easy to have a dinner party. I love in the cocktail party scene, she didn't pay so much attention to the actual cocktails or the hors d'oeuvres. I mean, I think, you only see them drinking straight bourbon as far as I can discern.
Not too much. All right. Yeah, that'll set you free.
At the time, you would have had mixed drinks. The martini was very, very big, and the Manhattan was also hugely popular. There was a lot of really guzzling of straight booze, which I think is why the party gets so out of hand, but it's also what makes the party so wonderful.
I think it was the grand explosion of America, late 50s.
Yeah, I think the party reflects what kind of was going on in the late 50s. And the magic of a New York party scene.
Truman didn't really like the film. He had initially wanted Marilyn Monroe for the role of Holly Golightly, and there were other candidates, actresses who were considered for the role. But Audrey Hepburn really just captured the charm that kind of helped balance out the fact that the character, is a gentleman's escort. She was not a hooker. It was not stated that she was a hooker, and in Truman's original story, she wasn't a hooker. But she definitely did frequent clubs like El Morocco and 21. Truman's original novella captured the New York of the 1940s and was like its own perfect little time capsule. And of course, when the film came out in 1961, it was updated. And in its own way, it captured the same spirit, that kind of... this was the era that the Kennedys hit the White House. It was still an era of white gloves and elegance, but there was a youthfulness and there was an energy, and certainly Audrey Hepburn and George Peppard both embodied that.
I had something in my hand all the time, excuse me. I had something in my hand, but it was not booze. No.
I spent a lot of time with the Spanish actor, Jose Villalonga. I used to sit and talk to him a lot. He was the South American man that Holly Golightly was going to marry.
Well, Martin Balsam did a fantastic job playing O.J., the Hollywood agent. One of the things I loved was the fact that Holly says, in order to show what a big shot O.J. was, she says, O.J.
What's Jerry Wall's phone number, O.J.?
Oh, come on, lay off.
Darling, I want you to call him and tell him what a genius Fred is.
But the thing is, Audrey Hepburn's best friend in real life was Jerry Wald's wife, Connie Wald. And so it's kind of a nice little irony that Audrey, as Holly, is asking for Jerry Wald's phone number. She had it memorized.
Yeah, well, I love cats, and so I was watching, but I didn't get anywhere near Orangey. He was pretty well protected, and he was a working cat, believe me. He was a star, darling.
That cat, the cat was to walk along the bookshelves, and he jumped down on the actor, and he stopped. He said, "That cat hurt my shoulders." And so they called for the cat wrangler. They didn't even kill the lights. The guy came over, looked at the cat, bit him out, and they kept going. Can you believe it?
I remember a little thing with Audrey Hepburn. I was watching a scene that was being done. It was a scene that she wasn't in. And I was watching it, and I was by a ladder. And all of a sudden I heard this giggling, and I looked up, and it was it was a tall ladder, and here's Audrey Hepburn sitting at the top of the ladder, bending over, laughing and watching the scene. Well, the thing that impressed me was all of a sudden an AD came up, and he's standing there and he's going, "Audrey, would you get your butt down here? You know you're going to be in the next scene, and get over there to makeup." Now, what AD says that to a star? But it seemed like the crew, the way her whole atmosphere that she created was like she was one of the actors.
It's remarkable the things you do and don't appreciate at the time you do them.
This will go on forever, this movie, because of good writing, good direction, good actors. That's why it'll go on. And it's, I don't think there was a time element there. You know what I mean? I think it'll just go on and on. I really do.
I think it's the joy. The edgy characters, the campy characters. Everybody can see a little bit of themselves in it, in one or more of the characters.
I think this has been a lot of fun. It's been a little tamer than the movie version of the party. But, everybody's been on their good behavior, and nobody's been drinking too much. And, no cat has been sipping from my cocktail, so I have no complaints.
Well, to see everybody here from that party scene is really a joy. I'm just having the best time with everybody, and we're all talking now about, do you remember this? Do you remember that?
Of course, Marvin, I know, but and Kip, I haven't seen him since then, and it's good to see everybody again. It really is.
It's you get to be this age. It's an honor and privilege to have been in this movie and to be in the business.
It was just fun to see them as though time had really been in a capsule and not anywhere except where we want it to be, right here.
We're thankful to still be here, but we're remembering the days of in our youth where we were playing and having fun and experiencing these exciting moments, and it's flowing like the party.